A very warm welcome to a brand new edition of World Panorama on Rajya Sabha Television with me, Frank Pereira. Over the next half an hour or so, we're going to bring you a roundup of all the latest happenings from around the world this week. But as always, let's begin with the latest headlines. Russian President Vladimir Putin ends an India visit after signing 20 key deals. Prime Minister Modi says India will build 10 more nuclear reactors with Russia's help. Putin backs Make in India with copter and nuclear deals. CIA faces widespread criticism over alleged human rights violation after Senate report. UN calls for strict action against officers. CIA chief comes out in agency's defense. Police clear protest sites in Hong Kong. Adamant pro-democracy demonstrators pledged that they will be back. Several protesters leave peacefully, others arrested. Proud moment for the subcontinent. Child rights activists Kailash Satyarthi and Malala Yousafzai received Nobel Prize for Peace in Oslo. Nobel Committee describes both laureates as champions of peace. Well, our top focus on the show this week. Russian President Vladimir Putin attended the 15th annual India-Russia summit in Delhi on Thursday. Terming the talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi successful, Putin said Russia was highly appreciative of the friendship, trust and mutual understanding it had with India. The two sides signed 20 agreements in various fields. These included an agreement to build 10 more nuclear reactors in India by the year 2035. India reciprocated by iterating that Russia would remain its top defense supplier. Here's more.
Times have changed. Our friendship has not. Now we want to take this relation to the next level, and this visit is a step in that direction. This tweet from Prime Minister Narendra Modi Wednesday night set the tone for Russian President Vladimir Putin's India visit, and the camaraderie was visible as the two met. India reaffirmed the commitment to its relationship with Russia, saying that Russia will remain India's top defense supplier, even though New Delhi's options had improved since the end of the Cold War.
Even as India's options have increased today, Russia will remain our most important defense partner.
The two sides have signed 20 agreements in all in the fields of oil, gas, defense, health, investment, mining, media and wind power. Among the more important ones is Russia agreeing to build at least 12 nuclear reactors in India by 2035. Russia will also boost the Make in India campaign by manufacturing advanced helicopters here.
Today, we have outlined an ambitious vision for nuclear energy of at least 10 more reactors. It will have the highest standards of safety in the world.
И взаимопониманием с Индией. Будем делать все для развития российско-индийского партнерства на благо наших двух великих держав.
The two sides also admitted that trade between the two countries has dwindled in the last few years. In a bid to correct this, India and Russia are working on a free trade agreement.
Практические меры по диверсификации взаимной торговли и дальнейшему наращиванию инвестиций. Условия стимулировать компании наших стран к более тесной взаимной совместной работе. Активнее переходить на использование национальных.
Putin's India visit comes at a time when Russia finds itself being increasingly isolated internationally over the Ukraine crisis. Even though there was some uncertainty over the old ties, it has all been laid to rest by the Modi government. The new leadership in India is less interested in geopolitics and more in jump-starting the economy as soon as possible. And with the Russian economy too in trouble, this looks like a match made in heaven.
Joining me on the show today is former ambassador to Russia, Mr. Ajai Malhotra. Thank you for joining us, Ambassador. And let's talk about the 15th Indo-Russia summit now. Of course, as the West continues to impose sanctions on Russia, Russia is turning east and seems to be taking a bag full of goodies to India and China.
Well, I would say that Russia has not been left with much of a choice in this matter, especially with sanctions being imposed by the West. And if you see the recent visits by President Putin to China, to Turkey, to India, they all show that he is trying to sensibly make whatever economic space he can, given that these sanctions are against his country. We are not a party to these sanctions, as you well know. These are not UN-mandated sanctions, and therefore the question of our expanding our ties with Russia is entirely appropriate. It is part of the continuity in Indian foreign affairs. Good ties with Russia are fundamental to Indian foreign policy. And I think this was shown very well also in this visit, because the three main areas where Russia really is dominant in a business sense: defense, atomic energy itself, and then the natural minerals, mineral resources, diamond and gold, etc. We already have a very well-established program of cooperation in all of these areas, which is being progressed further. So if you ask me, how was the visit? I think it was a good visit. If you ask me what was the main outcome, I would say the nuclear power deals, simply because these are also well established. If you recall, these go back to 1989, when Rajiv Gandhi and Gorbachev signed the Kudankulam Agreement. In 1992, when they had the nuclear suppliers group
but one criticism is that, it's been very slow. The development on the nuclear front is extremely slow. And, they're talking about at least 10 nuclear reactors by 2035. Do you think that is realistic?
It is entirely realistic. Let me add that it takes about 1.5 to 2 years to build a 1,000-megawatt reactor. We have built, the first one has been built by the Russians, and it is functional. Second one should be operational next year. Now, these two were linked with that 1989 agreement, so you didn't need any, you had no issues up there. Subsequently, we had our Civil Liability for Nuclear Damages Act, which came in 2010, approved by the Indian Parliament, and therefore that brought in some concerns. It didn't apply to Kudankulam 1 and 2. So for 3 and 4, there were issues up there. Now, the fact that we've signed this agreement, really the substantive agreement was signed some time ago, but in front we have signed an amendment, really kicking off the construction of Kudankulam 3 and 4, is a positive development, because it shows that we've got around that nuclear liability concern from both sides. And therefore now 6 being put up at Kudankulam is a done deal. And as we've indicated, another 6 more, so a total of 12 minus 2 which are already underway, leaving 10. Broadly, the agreement of 2010 spoke of serial construction of these nuclear power stations in India. And so there could be even more. But for right now, we looked at 6 plus 6 at another site to be decided as yet. We had indicated Haripur in West Bengal, which didn't work out. Because we were local protests.
Politics,
and now we have looked at another site. It has not yet been announced, and we are yet to indicate another venue or site for these additional 6 plants, and then we'll take it on from there. But the good point is India needs this energy, whether it's solar or wind or whatever, and nuclear, which is clean energy. These are post-Fukushima, secure and safe, meeting all those requirements. So let's move ahead with it, and I'm happy that this has gone ahead.
Another aspect is the fact that, India has made it clear that it's going to look at its interests first and then think about anything else. Because India, too, has reiterated and told Russia that you're going to be our biggest defense suppliers. So there's nothing to worry about. There was a lot of reciprocation as well as far on that front.
Well, that's entirely the right approach. Our Prime Minister said India first. And we have to do India first to find that economic space for ourselves. That means good relations with everyone we should strive for, including USA. And our expanded engagement with USA really is not detrimental to anyone. It's not harmful to anyone. And we are aware that our expanded engagement with countries like USA and other major powers will never affect our fundamental and deep-rooted ties with Russia. So that is a very positive attitude we have, which has been reinforced by our Prime Minister and the statements he made. So looking at defense, up there, when one looks at trade figures, defense trade on an annual basis, certainly you could say last year USA was a major partner, Israel has come up in the rankings, but we have shifted long ago to make in India in the defense field. We started our defense cooperation in 1958. In 1964, we set up HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics, with Russian help. That was Make in India all the way. And if you look at the Su-30 MKIs, they are made in India. The T-90S is made in India. We have agreed on Smirch, multiple rocket launch systems, to be made in India. Helicopters, in fact, this reference, we signed this agreement last year, where the Sun Group from India said it would look to assembling Kamov and Mi helicopters in India. But more than that, the 5th generation fighter aircraft and the multi-role transport aircraft, these are huge contracts. These would be $25 to $30 billion by themselves. They won't show up in your defense trade because, unlike in other cases, they would be assembled up here. So those commitments are there, as are many others. So there's no doubt about it, and the Prime Minister rightly said, whatever else, and we would look at expanding our cooperation with others, but this relationship and the defense aspect of it will continue apace.
You know, the Western media has looked at Putin's visit to India with a lot of skepticism. We also saw Barack Obama coming out and speak to the media, give out a press conference saying that, you know, the sanctions against Russia, further sanctions should be looked at very carefully. We can't continue to impose these sanctions on Russia. Could Putin's visit to India have had any bearing on what Barack Obama said?
Well, let me say that, you know, sanctions have not worked very often. And the effort to try and push and corner Russia is really not the right way to proceed. And I think for India, the approach has to be to bring these two countries together. In fact, an ideal situation for us would be India, Russia, USA. I mean, we are far away from that at the moment, with USA gunning for the Russian leadership also. But that would be really a very good situation for us to be, because the weakening of Russia really has a double negative impact for us. It pushes Russia closer towards the Chinese, and it gives an opening for the Pakistanis. So this is really not something that is in our interest. And these sanctions, we are not a party to them. And therefore, nobody can expect us to meet them. I saw a reference in the newspaper where somebody was saying that a spokesman from the State Department said, this is not the time now to, you know, go in for greater arrangements with Russia. But these are all old-standing arrangements. And even if they were not, we are not a party to the sanctions.
Indeed.
Those are not UN-mandated sanctions, and nothing demands that we observe them.
All right, we'll have to leave it at that, Ambassador. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today and sharing your views on the 15th Indo-Russian summit here in India that concluded on Thursday. Moving on now, widespread condemnation and protests followed the release of the US Senate report on CIA's brutal interrogation methods. The agency is facing scathing criticism over the alleged human rights violation. However, US President Barack Obama avoided taking sides on the effectiveness of CIA methods. He has more.
I think it was important for us to release this so that we can account for it, so that people understand precisely why I banned these practices as one of the first acts I took when I came into office, and hopefully make sure that we don't make those mistakes again.
Despite the Senate's damning reports, the CIA claims its brutal interrogation method used on terror suspects a decade ago worked. And on that, at least US President Barack Obama is not taking sides. He declined to address the fundamental question raised by the report on CIA, misleading the White House and the public about its effectiveness.
The conclusion the president reached is a principle that people on both sides of this debate can agree to, which is that the moral authority of the United States of America is one of the most powerful tools in our arsenal to protect and advance U.S. interests around the globe. And it's the view of the president that the use of these techniques, regardless of whether or not they elicit national intelligence information, undermine our ability to use this very powerful tool.
Globally, there was widespread criticism in store for the agency. UN's human rights wing said the officers accused of torture should be brought to book. Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani called CIA's method as a brutal violation of human rights.
دیروز 11 بجه شب که راپور از اینترنت به دست آوردیم تا امروز هر کلمه‌اش خوندیم. راپور تکان دهنده است. تمام اصول قبول شده حقوق بشر، قانون ایالات متحده آمریکا، اخلاق قبول شده جهانی از طرف
Torture is always wrong. those of us who want to see a safer, more secure world, who want to see this extremism defeated, we won't succeed if we lose our moral authority.
It's absolutely crystal clear. Torture is prohibited absolutely in all circumstances at any time. It cannot be practiced in war, in peace, during emergencies, during internal instability, any circumstances whatsoever.
我们注意到了有关报道，中方一贯反对酷刑。我们认为美方应该对此进行反省和纠正有关的做法，切实的来遵守和履行相关国际公约的规定。
The long-delayed report took 5 years to produce and is based on more than 6 million internal CIA documents. The US military official said the final prisoners had left the Pereira detention center at the Bagram Air Base, bringing to an end the US operation of any prisons in the country after more than a decade of war.
Moving on, now trying to end pro-democracy protests, the Hong Kong police cleared the protest sites on Thursday and Friday. Police forces even arrested a few protesters as they remained adamant not to vacate the protest camps. "We will be back," chanted the protesters as authorities dismantled the sites forcefully.
Pro-democracy protesters bouncing back despite all efforts by the Hong Kong police to forcefully dismantle them.
This is part of the struggle, the civil disobedience for democracy. And now the occupation has taken more than 70 days. And now the police are coming to clear the Umbrella Square. So we, of course, have to come and show ourselves. And if they want to arrest us, they can arrest us.
The defiance came amid a crackdown in which police forces took over the main protest sites piece by piece. Down came the lines of colourful tents across a stretch of highway running through the heart of the city. Police dragged out the last remaining demonstrators one by one. A few people were arrested. Amid the crackdown, the political fault lines are deepening between Hong Kong and China. China remains adamant that it will firmly oppose any foreign intervention in Hong Kong's internal affairs. This amid China's travel bans on British lawmakers a few weeks ago. The clearance comes more than 2 weeks after authorities removed barricades from a protest site, sparking several nights of battles between demonstrators and the police. Authorities might be successful in bringing down the emblematic umbrella sculptures and tents, but the voice and spirit of pro-democracy protests still echoes in the hearts of people demanding full democracy.
Well, it's time for a short break now, but still to come on the show. Celebrations erupt from Vidisha to Swat Valley. Malala and Satyarthi awarded the joint Nobel Peace Prize. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Back, you're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, they came from countries that have fought wars with each other and are still at loggerheads more often than not. But the Nobel Committee in Norway brought together India and Pakistan in a way that decimates all the hatred manufactured or otherwise. Pakistan's Malala Yousafzai and India's Kailash Satyarthi received their joint Nobel Peace Prize in a glittering ceremony in Oslo on Wednesday. Let's take a look.
One, the youngest ever Nobel laureate, and other, a somewhat older man. One from Pakistan and one from India. One Muslim, the other Hindu. Honoring Pakistan's Malala Yousafzai and India's Kailash Satyarthi, chairman of the Nobel Committee said the two represent symbols of what the world needs: more unity. Sharing the award for their work on promoting child rights in the troubled subcontinent, where millions are deprived of education and even their childhood, Satyarthi said the prize was a great opportunity to further his work against child slavery.
There is one serious disconnect, and that is the lack of compassion. Let us inculcate and transform the individual's compassion into global compassion. Let us globalize compassion.
17-year-old Malala, who survived a near-fatal Taliban attack 2 years ago, is determined to advocate education for girls.
Many children, especially in India and Pakistan, are deprived of their right to education because of social taboos, or they have been forced into child marriage or into child labor.
The first place this funding will go to is where my heart is, to build schools in Pakistan, especially in my home of Swat and Shangla.
The two received the Nobel Medal, which is 18-carat green gold-plated with 24-carat gold and weighs around 175 grams. They will share prize money worth $1.1 million. The ceremony saw performances by Pakistani singer Rahat Fateh Ali Khan and Sarod maestro Amjad Ali Khan and his sons Aman and Ayan. They spread the message of peace, harmony and non-violence with the raga for peace conceived specially for the occasion.
I hope the steps that Kailash Satyarthi and I have taken so far and will take on this journey will also bring change, lasting change.
Well, much else has been unfolding around the world. Here's a quick wrap of the other international news of the week.
US President Barack Obama expressed caution about the possibility of the United States adding more sanctions against Russia. Obama urged a go-slow approach to new sanctions against Russia to curb its aspirations in Ukraine. The US President suggested that the new sanctions could initiate a rift between the US and Europe. With some lawmakers on Capitol Hill considering more sanctions, Obama told the President's Export Council that the current path he is taking will have desired results. He hopes that it will eventually force Russian President Vladimir Putin to give up plans to enter Ukraine. Health officials in Sierra Leone discovered scores of bodies in a remote diamond mining area, raising fears that the scale of the Ebola outbreak may have been underreported. The World Health Organization said they have uncovered a grim scene in the eastern district of Kono. A WHO response team had been sent to Kono to investigate a sharp rise in Ebola cases. Ebola has killed 6,346 people in West Africa, with more than 17,800 infected. Sierra Leone has the highest number of Ebola cases in West Africa, with 7,897 cases since the beginning of the outbreak. A twin bomb attack in the Nigerian city of Jos killed at least 40 people on Thursday evening. The two bombs exploded in quick succession in a busy marketplace when shopkeepers were shutting their shops. A similar attack had taken place near the site in May, in which 118 people were killed. No one has claimed responsibility for the attack, but the needle of suspicion points towards Boko Haram. The UN General Assembly adopted a resolution with 175 country co-sponsors for observance of International Day of Yoga on the 21st of June each year. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who had proposed holding an International Yoga Day in his UN General Assembly speech on 27 September this year, was elated with the news. The 69th session of the United Nations General Assembly on Thursday adopted by acclamation the draft resolution with a record number of 175 countries co-sponsoring it.
Well, the Rajya Sabha congratulated the visually impaired Indian cricket team for winning the World Cup. The team won the 4th edition of the Blind Cricket World Cup held in South Africa on the 7th of December, beating Pakistan in the final.
In a reference in the Rajya Sabha, Chairman Mohammad Hamid Ansari wished the visually impaired cricket team more success in the future.
On behalf of the whole House and on my own behalf, I congratulate the entire team for their achievement. I wish the Indian visually impaired cricket team many more successes in near future.
The entire house hailed the victory with the thumping of desks. India defeated defending champions Pakistan in the final on December 7. 7 countries participated in the tournament, including India, Pakistan, Australia, Sri Lanka, England, South Africa and Bangladesh.
Shifting gears now, it's time to bring you up to speed with all the sports news that you might have missed this week. Here's all the sports action. Manuel Pellegrini hailed his depleted Manchester City side's resolve after a 2-0 win over AS Roma secured the English champions an unlikely ticket for the knockout phase of the Champions League on Wednesday. City, requiring at least a score draw to go through to the knockout phase, were dominated for large periods of the match at a packed Stadio Olimpico, where a win would have secured Roma's passage for the first time since the 2010-11 season. However, Pellegrini's side made up for the absence of key players and secured a win. The attacking trio of Lionel Messi, Neymar and Luis Suarez were all on target as Barcelona came from behind to beat Paris Saint-Germain 3-1 on Wednesday in their Champions League Group F decider. Both sides had already qualified for the last 16, but first place was still up for grabs, with the French champions needing just a point at the Camp Nou and Barcelona having to win. Messi's goal saw him equal the record mark for most goals in all European competitions. The Argentine now has 76 European goals, putting him level with former Real Madrid star Raul, with Cristiano Ronaldo one behind. Spain's double world champion Fernando Alonso and Britain's Jenson Button will drive for Honda-powered McLaren next season. Alonso's return to Woking comes 7 years after he left following an acrimonious season as teammate to then-rookie Lewis Hamilton. McLaren have not won a race for 2 years and are going through a major overhaul with changes at technical and the managerial level. They have also teamed up again with Honda in a repeat of their hugely successful partnership in the late 1980s and 1990s when Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost dominated Formula One. Former Tour de France champion Chris Froome scotched doubts about his commitment to the 2015 race on Tuesday by declaring that it will be the main focus of his season. The mountainous route of the 2015 Tour does not favour Froome, the 2013 champion, and he hinted in October that he would elect to skip it and focus instead on the Giro d'Italia and Volta a España. But having softened his stance in a subsequent interview, the 29-year-old Team Sky rider has now announced that the Tour will be his primary target next year. Going on now, here's a look at what's creating a buzz in the world of show business. Here's our entertainment wrap.
Rapper turned entrepreneur Dr. Dre has topped Forbes' list of the richest musicians with maximum earnings of $620 million. The 49-year-old music producer grabbed the first position because of the sale of his Beats headphones to Apple for $3 billion. Beyoncé, who earned $115 million in 2014, came at second position in the list. Jay-Z and Beyoncé together earned $175 million in 2014. Veteran rockers, the Eagles were third with $100 million earnings, followed by Bon Jovi with $82 million and Bruce Springsteen with $81 million. Pharrell Williams' Happy and Sam Smith's Money on the Mind have been shortlisted for the Song of the Year award at the inaugural BBC Music Awards. Williams has also been nominated for International Artist of the Year, while Smith has gotten a nod for British Artist of the Year award. The winning song will be announced during the BBC Music Awards, which will be hosted by Chris Evans and Fern Cotton at London's Earl's Court. Angelina Jolie has recently revealed that she and her husband Brad Pitt are against their kids of having tattoos for themselves. The 39-year-old said that the topic of getting inked was especially hard for dads and girls, because men get a little more sensitive when the daughter gets a tattoo, and Pitt, who was mush in his daughter's hands, thinks the girls can do no wrong. Jolie revealed that she's already screened requests from Maddox and Zahara about getting permanent body art. Slumdog Millionaire co-stars Freida Pinto and Dev Patel have called it quits after dating for almost 6 years. According to reports, the pair, who had met on the set of the Oscar-winning movie in 2008, has been separated for a while. The Immortals actress was seen on her 30th birthday with billionaire Siddharth Malya. Pinto and Patel had considered themselves to be soulmates during happier times.
Finally, of course, hundreds of people gathered in central London to mark the festive season and spread cheer in the name of charity. The Great Pudding Race is a unique charity event held annually each December in the heart of London. Teams of 6 friends or colleagues take on the challenge each year in order to battle it out to win the acclaimed pudding trophy. I'm going to leave you with the visuals from the race.